first ball. Yes, he's got a wicket first ball.
Nice, Gary!
I was probably in the darkest time, definitely darkest time of my career. I've never been injured before. Yeah, I was not a very good person to be around. I did find it pretty difficult at the start, living in shame-worn shadow. But for me, I looked at it as a challenge that, okay, I didn't get the chance to prove 99% of the public wrong. You're no different to anyone else. All we do is be extremely good at what skill set we have.
350th Test match wicket for Nathan Lyon.
This is my way of giving back to the game, and hopefully they might take out 5 seconds of 230 minutes. That resonates with me, and I can go on to be bigger and better, and I'm going to go chase my dream. I'm not going to fear failing. I'm going to go out there and live it and chase it.
Just quickly before we get started, guys, if you've been enjoying the podcast, can I please ask that you consider leaving a 5-star review and subscribing on whatever platform you've been listening? It really helps the podcast grow. All right, so our guest today needs no introduction, but I'm going to try my best anyway. So our guest today was famously the groundskeeper at the Adelaide Oval and got his Test debut after only playing 4 Shield games. He's the first Australian to take a wicket off their first ball in Test cricket since Arthur Cunningham in 1894, and which makes him the third only Australian to do that. With the same game first match, went on to do 5 for 34 in his first innings, and now sits just 4 wickets away from the magical 500 wickets with 496. He's the founder of Goated, a platform which was built to give fans exclusive access to their favourite elite athletes, and he's the author of the Nice Gary children's book. Some know him as Gary, some the GOAT. He's the number 8 Test wicket taker in the world and the greatest off spinner of all time. He's, of course, Nathan Lyon. Welcome to the podcast, mate. I appreciate you giving us your time. Really appreciate it.
No, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me. Nice introduction.
For sure. Now, with you, where I want to start, we've obviously had a bunch of professional athletes on the podcast that have played for club and country. Probably not to the same level as you have, but what really fascinates me about athletes, obviously, my world was business, and there's a lot of crossover with athletes. And the thing that really fascinates me is people like yourself, the few that start to realize, hey, I've got a really awesome platform from my sporting career, from what I've achieved, and they go and build something or create something that lives on long past their playing careers. Obviously, Goated, something I'm really interested in. Now, for people that don't know, how would you explain what Goated is? As you said, it gives fans access like they've never had to professional athletes, elite athletes. But tell everyone listening in your own words, and then I'll fill in kind of my understanding of what Goated is and why you built the platform.
Yeah. So firstly, I'll ask you a question. When you were a kid growing up, what sport did you like?
Cricket.
Cricket? Who was your favourite cricketer?
Brett Lee.
Brett Lee. So if you were 14, 15, had access to Brett Lee, what would you have done?
Oh, mate, it would have been the best experience ever. I remember my second favourite player, because again, I'm from Liverpool area. So second favourite player ever was Michael Clark. Met him at like a rep awards night. And I remember buzzing for months and months. Honestly, just would have motivated me to, look, I was never the most talented athlete, but just those little moments as a kid when you grow up and you meet your heroes, it really inspires you to do fucking anything, you know?
Yeah. So this is where Goated's been born. So Goated's a family business between my wife and her father. So my father-in-law were sitting around dinner table, and Mike was asking me different questions about what I want to do after the game. And big thing for me has always been about giving back to the game. It's given me so much, and it's supporting my family and my kids and everything else. And I was like, well, how can I aspire to give back to the game, and I know help young boys and girls chase their dreams as well. So this is where Goated's been born. The amount of messages that I get on Instagram saying, can you give me tips? Can you give me tips on this? And you reply to 5, then you get another 15. So this is, Goated is basically a platform for me, just on my Goated videos, is that you can tap in and understand what I'm thinking at the top of my mark when I'm playing a Test cricket against Virat Kohli or in the middle of the Ashes, or you can see all my skill sets, training, sitting down with the psych. So basically I've sat down and filmed 240 minutes of footage, interviews, training, both fitness and fitness strength, skill-wise as well. So just getting a totally different insight into your favourite athletes. And we've got Kaya Simon on there at the moment. She's played 111 games for Matildas. And we don't need to talk about Matildas. We all know what they did. And
Incredible.
That incredible journey. But we've got James Tedesco coming on, and to someone to tap into his mindset about rugby league, the way you prepare, the way does he fear failing, all that stuff. So I just feel like Goated is just that platform that you can connect with your favourite athletes and understand, get advice, because there's in real life meetings, there's live Ask Me Anything, there's all the videos, there's signed merchandise that you're up going raffles to get and all that stuff. So I'm pretty pumped about it, to be honest with you.
And I've did a little bit of research as well. And obviously you came from the country. You're a country kid from young, and you spoke about being able to have the impact of, again, because even someone living in Sydney, it's not easy to get access to these athletes. But, I remember growing up, once or twice a year, there might be the opportunity to do like a 1-day masterclass and you'd meet one or two, but kids from the country don't get that opportunity. What does it mean for you to be able to kind of level the playing field and give kids living anywhere in Australia, around the world, the possibility to connect, get that sort of information in terms of preparation, training, mindset, or just even be a fly on the wall in some of those moments and take people behind the scenes?
Well, another story why Goated was born was I am from the country. I got an older brother and mum and dad. There was 4 of us. And mum and dad took us over to Shield Cricket in Canberra one day, and back in the day, I was only about 6 or 7, and all I wanted to do is get all the signatures and say hello to these players who I thought the sun shined out of them. And there was one player who said, I'll do it at the end of the game. So we waited the whole day. He went in the change room and waited until they come out of the change room. And he walked straight past, said, I'll do it tomorrow. And I was in tears and upset and all that stuff because I knew we weren't coming back. It was an 1.5-hour drive for us. So that really, it's always stuck with me that I don't want to be that player to not give back and not have time for anyone, because you're no different to anyone else. All we do is we're extremely good at what skill set we have, but we're no different. So if we can make a impression on a young boy or girl or a fan of the game to go, oh, no, he actually gave 2 minutes to myself and inspire me to go out and play the game, then that's all I can do, because we're role models in so many different ways. So that's where I stand with that, because and with Goated, like I'm handing out, I think, 270 passes to the New South Wales country cricketers, so the pathway systems. Next Thursday night, I'm doing a live question answer thing with those special members, and they're getting a free pass to Goated, because, as I said, this is my way of giving back to the game, and hopefully they might take out 5 seconds of 230 minutes and go, nah, that resonates with me and I can go on to be bigger and better, and I'm going to go chase my dream. I'm not going to fear failing. I'm going to go out there and live it and chase it.
And having that impact, obviously, you're quite universally known from the Australian public as like a pretty down-to-earth, humble guy. Now, from what I've read, obviously a lot of that comes from your father and how he raised you, wanting to keep your boots on the ground. How do you think that, do you credit your father to a lot of that nature of yourself?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. All my family. Dad's the oldest of 9, so at Christmas time, we're always playing outside, but you're never allowed to win all the time. So you're able to have your feet put back down, and you're never as good as what you think you are, type thing. So, yeah, my childhood's very, humbling, I guess. Parents were extremely good to us, and they still are, and they did anything for us and made me realise it as a parent now how incredibly special it is. But you also got a big role in making sure that you're doing a decent job as well.
And what's that moment like for you to go from, this just country guy that grew up, and as you said, you were just really good at playing a sport. You just happened to be really good at playing a sport. One thing led to another, and you ended up being an Australian Test cricketer. But when does it click for you? And is it a weird moment? I remember, even on a much, much, much smaller scale to you, I'd go back and do some speeches to my old high school. I'm a public school kid, didn't grow up with a lot of money. And like just seeing the way like my story can inspire just the Casula High kids was crazy. But what was the moment for you that you realized that, holy shit, like me just giving someone 30 seconds after a game actually does have impact?
There's been some big moments for me, whether it's at Big Bash games when I was playing here with the Sixers, knowing that a lot of people were driving out from the country just to come watch us play, and I get a lot of feedback from my parents with that stuff. Mum's a dental nurse, and she has a lot of people come up in there and to get the kids to lay in the dentist chair, and they say, "Oh, well, this." Do you like cricket, and start talking about cricket? Well, this is Nathan Lyon's mum and all that stuff, and that changes the whole experience at the thing. So understanding that I'm able to have that effect on people, but also understanding that if by me stopping, saying hello or sending a video message or doing something like that can change someone's total perspective of life type thing, it's pretty special and pretty remarkable in a way that we're role models in the cricket field, certainly, but you can be role models in so many different ways in life as well.
And what's so, I feel like, special about your story is obviously once you hit Shield, you only played 4 games and then you burst onto the scene for Australia pretty quickly. But going through the ranks as a kid, you weren't necessarily, in all the rep teams growing up. You weren't discovered really quickly. But what do you think it was that you did differently? And there's something that I really like about what you say about kind of your bag of tricks. You might not have, the deuce with the flipper, all these crazy balls, but something that you have 100% belief in is your best ball. And if you can be consistent and persistent and show it with your best ball time after time after time, eventually the batsman will make a mistake and you'll get the wicket. And I think that's a really good message for kids listening that, might not necessarily be the fastest, the strongest, the most naturally talented, but if you have patience and persistence and you keep working on your craft, then there's a good chance that you'll be able to knock down any door that you get to.
Yeah, 100%. So I started working with John Davison, my spin coach. Even today, I've got him flying down next week just to do an oil and grease change, as I call it. But I know for me, as a young kid, I was never big enough to bowl fast or anything like that, and I was never really strong enough to bowl leg spin. So I needed to find a way. But my dad and my brother were 2 big people saying, well, if you can bowl your best ball over and over and over, you're going to challenge someone's defence. And if you look at Test cricket now, or if you look at any form of cricket, if you can challenge someone's defence, you're going to have the best chance of creating a chance. So I know, I feel like being a country kid was brought up a lot of resilience in me as well. I was playing grade cricket against men at the age of 12. Mm-hmm. So I had to either find a way or sink or swim type thing. So I know Mum wasn't overly too happy with me playing, both Brendan and myself playing against men at age 12, but I think that's where we learned the game, and that's how you build that resilience and understanding that you're going to fail at some stage, but every time you fail, it's a chance to learn. And it's okay to make a mistake, but just don't make it 3 to 4 to 5 times.
Building the resilience is one thing, but also being around the culture that is, men's open age, like grade cricket, the chat, the banter, all of that stuff. Do you feel like playing grade cricket with these fully grown men at so young? Obviously it built the resilience, but do you feel like in any way it made you mature quicker, which was enabled you to handle the pressure of moving up the grades better?
Oh yeah, I dare say so. You had to sit around even when we were 12. At the end of the game, we'd go and have a drink with the opposition. We would only be having a Coke. Everyone else would be having beers and everything, but you'd sit there and you wouldn't say much, but when you spoke to you'd answer back or listen. So I feel like part of that, a lot of 90% of talk at those things are rubbish, but a lot of banter, but you do get that 10% of gold, and I feel like you do get the chance to grow up and mature, and by hanging around older people and understanding what they do and watching the way they prepare, and that's going from playing against Dean Schofield back in young to watching the way Mike Hussey prepared, train, what he did, what I wasn't doing, and so how can I become better?
And again, that's another great benefit of Goated, actually seeing that. Never before, obviously, with social media and the technology we have now, would you have the ability to have that access. So just seeing the way, and for me, obviously, I'm most known for business, but every entrepreneur, we had someone on the podcast yesterday who had been CEO of companies doing hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and he brought it back to the same thing. The mindset is the core foundation of success in any field. Would you agree that the mindset that you've built over the years going up was such a key foundation to everything else that you've been able to achieve on top of that?
Yeah, 100%. But also for me, understanding that if you do the hard work, don't be surprised by having success. And I feel like there's a lot of hard work that goes in behind the scenes of it. And if you jump on Goated, you'll see the work that go behind the scenes that a lot of players will do. And if you want to be the best in the business, I feel like you got to do it. There's a certain level of where skill will take you to. But if you want to go, in my opinion, if you want to go to the next level, you need the determination. You need to do the hard work. And when you get the reward, don't be surprised.
So those before you came into the like Australian Test team and obviously the Shield team, you famous obviously were groundskeeper at Monica Oval and Adelaide Oval, but you never obviously gave up at all in terms of making it happen. But what was your thought process going through that and then taking the job, like getting the trade, taking the job as a groundskeeper? Was there ever any doubt, or were you always just so laser focused on the path and you knew if I do this, I'll put myself in the right situations, in the right environments to continue to capitalize and move forward? No,
there was always doubt. I think a lot of people have doubt, and it's whether people are happy to admit it. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of doubt even when I was working at Monica, when I moved to Adelaide, and okay, you're one step closer, but geez, still a long way away. But the beauty about cricket and what I love about cricket is that you're only 3 fifers, 300s away from the next level.
Now, the moment, obviously, I've heard you spoke about it before, but what was the moment like when you got the call that you were going to make your debut and you called your parents and let them know?
So I was in Sri Lanka at the time. Obviously, on my first Australian tour, it was all pretty good. And when I first found out that I was going to Sri Lanka on my first tour, I called Dad and I said, Dad, I'm being picked on the test tour. And he goes, oh, that's good. You'll get the tracksuit. and I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong. I'll get the tracksuit and I won't take it off. But then I got to Sri Lanka, played a tour game, went okay, took 1 or 2, 3, maybe 3 wickets, nothing outstanding. And just trained with Ricky Ponting and with the team and bowled to Ricky Ponting pretty well a whole net session before the first test match. And Ricky Ponting was the one that went to Michael Clark and Greg Chappell at the time and said, you got to pick this kid. So I owe a lot to Punter for that opportunity. But when I got told I was making my debut, I obviously got back to the hotel and called Dad straight away. And Dad was working out the back of Temora, which is about, close to 5 hours southwest of Sydney, I guess. And I said, Dad, I'm playing. And Dad just goes, oh, that's good. At least you'll play one game, and hung up. I was like, what? And try to understand what he was doing. But I've since figured out and found out that he was too emotional, didn't know what to say, didn't want to make me even more nervous because I was already shitting myself, to be honest. So, pretty unique and pretty cool story though.
All right, guys, just quickly, I've got some news. I've spent close to the past 18 months building the ultimate program that takes you through the complete process, and I mean the complete process of launching and scaling your very own e-commerce brand from zero all the way up to $1 million plus per year. And now with this program, what you're going to get access to is 15 modules with over 100 training videos and 23 hours of in-depth content, taking you through everything you need to know to build a successful e-com brand. And this is the important part. This isn't just stuff that you can look up on YouTube. This is stuff I've taken from real lessons and experiences building Happy Skin Co. from zero all the way up to an 8-figure per year brand. You're going to get access to loads of custom tools, templates, and calculators that I've used to build and run Happy Skin Co. There's going to be one-on-one mentoring with myself and other expert coaches. And there's also weekly group Q&A calls with myself to make sure you're feeling completely supported throughout the entire process. And now what I've learned from consulting to everyone from people starting their very first e-commerce brand all the way up to brands already doing 7 figures plus per year, is that there's a process and a framework to follow if you want to be successful with e-com. Now, if this is something you're interested in, hit the link below and go to join.viralbrandbuilder.com. All the information's there and you can book a call directly with me. Otherwise, send me a DM and we can chat there. Anyway, let's get back to the pod. The endorsement doesn't get much bigger than Ricky Ponting, arguably the greatest Australian cricketer to ever play. And then you make your debut, as I said in the intro, wicket first ball. What's going through your head? You take the wicket. After all this work, and like I said, you didn't go the short way, you went the hard way. You had to really fight for and work for everything you got. First ball wicket.
All I remember at the moment of it is that we batted day one, day two come along. Wasn't feeling the greatest, just with the food and stuff over there. I was pretty crook actually, but I was feeling down at fine leg, had a drinks break. Then Michael Clark just tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Ready to go, youngster?" I said, "Yep, let's go." And so I was extremely nervous. And Ricky Ponting actually come over and said, "You're right, mate. Just back your skill, and tapped me on the arse and went." And then Huss ran up from mid-on. I was like, "Just smile, mate. Just smile. When you smile, you'll relax and you'll go into it." So they were probably there, and they're the two biggest advice that I'd keep running with today is that, back your skill and smile and you relax and go and do it. But yeah, the first ball, I felt like I was actually real wide. I thought he was going to hit it for 4 and thought, shit, this is going to be a bad start. But lucky enough that pup took a decent catch. Yeah,
and then you go back to your mark. You got a wicket first ball of your test career. Are you able to calm down and recenter as well as you would have liked, or are you still like the adrenaline in your body?
Oh, no. Everything was going at a rapid. I can't even remember the rest of the over, to be honest with you. Who was the batter? I think it was Mahala J. Warden to come out. He may have been not strike. I can't remember a bowl to.
And then 5 wickets, 5 in the first innings. You must be thinking this stuff's too easy.
No, definitely. I think that was about my second or third ever fifer. So I haven't taken a lot of them. Took a lot of forfers in grade cricket and all that, but not many 5 wicket hauls. So to take 5 wickets on my first test match, it was pretty amazing. I've got the ball up on my wall at home, which I walk past every day, which is pretty cool.
First fifer in the first game. Now I think it's 23 fifers in Test cricket. 4 wickets away from 500. I know what professional athletes are like. One ball at a time, 1 wicket at a time. But do you have one eye on that Pakistan series coming up soon, or do you really just try and stay grounded in the moment and take each ball as it comes?
No, bloody oath. I've got probably 1.5 eyes on it. If I'm honest, like after doing my calf in the Ashes, being out for 14 and a half weeks and coming back and playing one day game and 2 Shield games, it's unbelievable being back. But I want to play that. I want to play that level again. I want to play Test cricket again. Sitting at home watching the end of the Ashes really sucked, to be honest with you. And then I was at home and I watched the AFL Grand Final, watched Collingwood win, watched Penrith Panthers win, and I was like, nah, I want that. That for me, that's a drug, and that adrenaline is what you play for in the big moments.
Was that calf tear, again, massive calf tear, 4 centimetres, grade 3. You don't usually see people tear a calf and be out for over 3 months. That's definitely on the severe end. Was that one of the most challenging periods in your career mentally in terms of emotions? Obviously, you're there. There's still 2.5 games left, I believe, something like that in the Ashes. You then have to fly home. Is it anger, sadness, frustration? Obviously, the motivation came after recollecting yourself, but what's the emotion when you get back home? You're with Emma, the kids.
I was no good. I was probably in the darkest time, definitely darkest time in my career. I've never been injured before, so touch wood that doesn't happen again. But I was not a very good person to be around. I'm very lucky. I've got a very supportive and loving wife and the whole family. But I blew my calf in the second test, flew home about 3 days later after that second test, and the guys were playing 3 more test matches. And I wasn't very enjoyable to be around at all. And that's because probably the way I see it is that I generally care about that Australian cricket team. I care about the people in it. I care about our performance. And for me, this will come across arrogant, but for me, I felt like I could play a decent role in that team, and I know I could play a role against that batting lineup. And for me to be sitting at home on crutches, icing my leg every half an hour, and getting up and doing rehab every day for the rest of that tour, but for the rest of 10, 12 weeks, it was pretty challenging.
Speaking of the resilience, I think a lot of Australia was surprised when, I don't know, a day or two later, you literally hobbled out to bat. Was it an option for you not to bat, or in your head you're always going to do whatever you can on one leg just to help the team?
No, it was never an option for me not to bat in my head. Even though at our hotel I had a little step, it would have been about 10 centimetres high, and I couldn't get into the shower. So Emma, my wife, had to help me in the shower then and help me out. So like she was literally helping me. I said to her the morning of day 4, that was, and I said, just so you know, I'm going to go out the bat. And she goes, you're an idiot. You can't even walk. I'm helping you in the shower and you want to go out the bat. She goes, nah, you're not going out the bat. And I said, I'm going out the bat anyway. So I jumped on the bus, didn't say anything to anyone, and got there, and I said to Pat, our captain, was on the physio bench with the doctor and physio at the time, and I hobbled over to him on my crutches and said, Pat, I'm on a bat. He goes, you're an idiot. You're not batting, Gary. Get it out of your head. And the physio and doctor both looked at me and like laughed. The thing was like, you're not batting. So I just went straight to Andrew McDonald and said, mate, I want to bat. I want to bat. And he goes, good. Yeah. I want you to bat. So I said, you need to go talk to the doctors. So, and the physio. So he went over there and they laughed, quickly turned to, oh, shit, this is actually happening. And so I took a heap of drugs. Yeah. Walked into the physio room in the back of Lords and had to practice batting, had to show them what my plan would be, and got tape from my knee down to my toes and couldn't move a foot. And yeah, but that's, for me, that is exactly like someone cutting their finger and going to work. Like, okay, shit happens, but you still got to play your role. You can't do your complete role, but you can still help out your teammates, and understanding that a 10 to 15 run partnership can be massive in Ashes.
And part of that mentality, along with you just being an all-round good bloke from the outside looking in anyway, would have been a big part of why Mike Hussey gave you the honour of being the leader of the team song. Where does that rank in terms of your career in proudest moments?
It's definitely up there as the proudest moment. To get that handed to you, and that really sings, I know that you're playing the game for the right reasons. And I've always wanted to play the game for the right reasons. So when Huss handed that in January 2013, it was a pretty special moment. I remember going to Huss's room in Melbourne after the Boxing Day Test match, and he called me up and he said, come to my room, I've got something to talk to you about. And I thought, shit, okay, what's happening? Walked in to hand me a piece of paper and said, I'm retiring and I want you to take over the team song. So I spent the next half an hour trying to convince him not to retire, but then when it was all settled and all that stuff, and I knew that I couldn't change it, it was pretty amazing, but it took me a long time to sing it. It took me 9 test matches to sing it.
I forgot. I didn't realise that until I was doing a little bit of research. And you finally get your first win, nine games in, singing that team song. How sweet is it?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit different now. So the rules are that I can sing it when and whenever I want. So if we win the test at 12 o'clock at midday, I don't need to sing it until 7 o'clock at night if I want, or whenever it is. My first song was at the Gabba in the Ashes, and we won the test and walked in and sang it straight away because I was so nervous. I was nervous because I grew up with having Michael Clark, Brad Haddon on my wall at home, big potent pictures at the wall, and suddenly I'm in the middle of the circle leading their team song. So I was just like, shit, can't stuff this up whatsoever. So It was pretty amazing moment when you look back at it.
Now, in terms of your career, like you've had a lot of highs. In terms of the on-field battles, is there anyone that comes to mind as like one of the toughest battles or greatest on-field rivals? Do you reflect on those sorts of moments and think, wow, that was actually pretty special?
I think I'll reflect on more of that when I'm done. But that's a number of years away now. But when you look at playing against the likes of AB de Villiers and Virat Kohli and Kevin Peterson, and we sit here all day and talk about them and rattle them all off. But when I look back and you go, shit, I was lucky enough to play against Tendulkar, Callis, Graham Smith, all these guys, you go, shit, you're actually competing against the best players to ever play the game. So there's been some good challenges. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
Now, challenges, one challenge that I feel like would have been a massive part of particularly your early career is any spin bowler in Australia is forever going to be compared to Shane Warne, right? The greatest to ever do it. Do you feel like it helped? It made it a little bit easier being an off spinner and not a leg spinner? Or did you feel like it made it more difficult because everyone's like, oh, when's our next leg spinner coming along?
No, yeah, it's so much more difficult. Even now, I've taken 496 test wickets and still part of me feels like still living under Shane Warne's shadow, and I'm totally fine about that, which at the start I found it extremely difficult because I felt like every test match I play everyone would be looking for the next leg spinner. Okay, yeah, Lyon's okay, but we need another leg spinner. So I found that very difficult. Like every Gabba test would be like play 4 quicks and leave the spinner out, where arguably it's one of my favourite places to bowl type thing. So I did find it pretty difficult at the start living in Shane Warne's shadow. But for me, I looked at it as a challenge that, okay, I get the chance to prove 99% of the public wrong.
Well, I'd say you've definitely established your own legacy apart, like very much separate from Shane Warne. But where in your career, obviously the greatest off spinner to ever do it, just shy of 500 wickets. At what point did that noise settle down? Obviously, you went on to play 100 tests in a row, which I believe is a record. At what part of your career, if you remember, did that chat settle down and it's just like, this is our guy now, everyone's behind him, and now obviously one of the obviously you won't like to admit it, but like one of the most loved Australian cricketers?
I'm not sure when it settled down, to be honest with you. I tried to, early on in my career, I worried about what everyone was saying in the media and everything like that. So it wasn't until about, probably around 2015, 16, I was like, nah, don't worry about it. You've had too many years of worrying about this crap. Just let's worry about what you control, and what you control is bowling your best off break. So that's probably when that really turned around, and I was really just focused on, trying to become a better person and a better cricketer each day.
Was there any pieces of advice from any of the senior players that you remember them passing on to you in your first couple of years of cricket that really stuck with you and helped you understand, how to deal with certain elements of the game?
There's 3 things that stand out to me. It was obviously Ricky Ponting saying back your skill, Mike Hussey saying do it with a smile on your face, and the third one was actually Shane Watson. He captained the game in Delhi in 2013, I think it was, and he come up to me, he said, guys, you need to roll your sleeves up and get in a contest, get in a fight. And for me, that's a big sign. So you might see me when I'm at the top of mark, I wear long sleeves every day, but you might see me pull my sleeves up a little bit. And for me, that's just a reminder saying, roll your sleeves up, get in a fight. And that doesn't mean you have to be verbal and get into someone. It's about making sure that your presence is here and that this is real and we're doing it.
Getting into the fight again, like I can't imagine what it's like to play cricket for like all day for 5 days back to back. Like we play park cricket with Mitch, who you know really well. And like we'll play like Saturday, Sunday for like the finals, and I'm ruined. That mentality to stay in the game and concentrate every single ball you're out there would be exhausting. How much work do you do with the sports psych in terms of mentally being ready, prepared, concentrate, focus at all moments?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's a long time out there, but you're only really focusing for about 3 seconds, and the ability to be able to switch off and go, okay, yep, I look in the crowd, season crowd, look at the bird flying around, whatever it may be, have banter with your teammates. But when the bowler's at the top of your mark, you switch on, whether it's in the bat in hand, whether it's in ball in hand, whether you're in the field. So the ability to be able to switch on and off is the biggest key. So I've done a lot of work with Michael Lloyd, who yet again you can jump on and go to it and see our conversations, and there's going to be more of that coming. But I don't know, I feel like being able to talk to someone and understand and get everything out, it's been very, very beneficial for me.
Now, I want to speak to you more about mindset. Obviously, we're just talking about the sports psych. I know mindset, preparation, and doing all that sort of work is a big part of being a professional athlete. It's a big part of your career. Now, visualization for me with goals and business has been a big part of my process. I like to ask a lot of people, has visualization played a part in your career, in your journey, either being at the top of your mark, visualizing what you're going to do, or zooming out, being this kid from young, visualizing yourself one day pulling on the baggy green? Do you use visualization at all, or is that something that you personally haven't got too deep into?
No, I think I did it before I even knew I was doing it. I dreamt of playing cricket for Australia, but I do it when I'm standing at the top of my mark. Honestly, I've got a blueprint that I go through, and I stand there and go, okay, well, how am I going to get this guy out, and what's that look like? So yeah, I use that skill probably a lot more than I actually realise, but I feel like it's a good, unbelievable skill to have, and if you're able to do it and believe in it, then I feel like it's only going to help you go even further.
And dealing with the pressure, whether that be from yourself, from the fear of letting your teammates down, from the media backlash, if, whatever goes wrong. Over the years, how have you become better at dealing with the pressure, quieting down the noise, and just focusing on what you can control?
Yeah, it's another thing being journey. It's a journey that you go on, trying to understand what the pressure looks like, who's the pressure coming from. But then as soon as you start to realise that no one puts any more pressure on than what you do yourself, and then you just break that down. Okay, what's the pressure look like? Okay, what's my role look like within that pressure, and how am I meant to cope with that pressure? For me, it's understanding your role, then having your belief in whatever method needs to be done on that special day to ensure that you're playing your role to your best ability. If you do that, you'll cope with the pressure, then you'll get your rewards, but then we're not surprised by success.
On the challenges that you've had to overcome in your career, what stands out to you as the biggest?
There's a few, but one jumps out is probably when Hughesy got hit and died and passed away. That was probably arguably the biggest challenge, because there was a period there for a bit where we were meant to be playing a test match a couple of days later, and honestly, Darren Lehman didn't know if any of us players were able to take the field, and so that was probably the biggest challenge that I've probably been through.
One of the most memorable moments winning that game, everyone running over to the 408, was the team. Did you guys really come together to support each other through that moment? Oh,
yeah, 100%. And that wasn't planned or anything. That just happened as well. That was probably quite bizarre, how it all happened. And even that whole game, you look at the results in that game. All the New South Wales guys did extremely well, and were able to win that test match. And I don't know what it is or anything about it. It was a challenging day, challenging time in it throughout our whole career. To be honest with you, we're living with it every day. But it's one of these things that accidents do happen, and got to live with it now.
Exactly. And that day changed the shape of cricket forever and brought awareness to things that maybe had been ignored and forgotten before. So I just remember the whole country was brought together after that moment, and seeing how you guys came together and made the country proud, I think increased the connection the whole country has to the Australian cricket team, which at times has been extremely, extremely positive. At times it's been a little bit more negative. And there's one interview I was listening that you did, and something stood out now. It was after the whole drama in South Africa, how Tim Payne brought the team together. You speak about how his leadership in those weeks and months and even years following was some of the best leadership and captaincy you've ever seen. And the one thing that I thought was really fucking cool was you came together and your whole goal was to make Australia proud of the men's cricket team again. What was the steps to doing that? And then I want to know, when do you guys, like as a collective, did you realize we've achieved that and we've got back to where we should be? Not just in terms of performances and wins, but playing in the right spirit of game mentality and doing it in, like Hussey said to you, playing cricket in the right way.
Yeah, obviously that was a pretty challenging part, but I think Paney and credit to JL as well, the way they really guided us through a pretty dark cloud and actually able us to see the light at the end of the tunnel type thing. But I think the way that Paney was able to just, be able to make sure that everyone was okay, and that was the biggest thing for me. He showed a lot of care about it, and I've said a number of times I think Paney's been the best captain I've played under, and that's purely because he knew he wasn't the number one player in the team. He knew he wasn't the number one player in the world, but he knew how to get the team up and about and where it wanted to go. And where did we think? I think the Ashes in, when was that? Must have been 2000 at home. I forget what Ashes it was. But yeah, I think there was an Ashes at home where we rocked up and were like, nah, Australian fans they're here. And they've always been there. Yes, we've gone through a challenging time and stuff, but they're pretty amazing crowd to play in front of. Even when you look at the recent tour to England, like the pure excitement of those guys and girls when we go over there and play in the Ashes and they're in the yellow or green shirts in the crowd. It's pretty amazing to see the effect that we have as Australian cricket team. And I probably didn't see that until I actually came home from the Ashes and I was hobbling down the street on my crutches or limping away or whatever I was doing, and the amount of people come up and tap you on the back and tell you how sorry they were about your calf or whatnot, but also just say how incredible wins that we had at that time and how much they were invested in the Ashes. You go, well, shit, okay, this is a lot bigger than what you think it is.
From your playing career, what do you think you're most proud of? Like it's awesome having people come up to you and say those things, but is there any moment that you just think, I'm so glad I was a part of that?
Yeah, it's actually at Edgbaston when Pat and I put on 55 runs for that last to win that game. I know for me, I'm expected to win games with the ball in hand. Yes, I'm expected to win games with the bat in hand as well, but 55 runs, I'm expected to win if we need two runs to win, but 55 runs, I dare say a lot of people in Australia and in England would have thought that Australia were going to lose that test match. So that's probably one of my proudest moments. And I reckon that will go down as probably one of my biggest moments in my career.
You do a lot of batting work with your brother. Did he secretly take any credit for that performance between brothers?
I reckon he went to the pub and had a few beers off the back of it. But I do a lot of work with him. But yeah, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, I can imagine. Speaking a little bit of a random aside, but speaking of incredible batting performances, what were you thinking the other night watching Glenn Maxwell absolutely put the country on his back and Paddy Cummins just surviving there? Wasn't that like one of the most crazy innings you've ever seen, regardless of T20, one day test?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's best innings we've ever seen. But then my bowling brain hit switches. I'm like, well, why wouldn't they have done this? Why wouldn't they have done that? But you got to give credit where credit's due. And Maxi, there's hand-eye coordination there is unbelievable. But also what people aren't really talking about is the speed of his hands, and not many people talk about that. I'm a big one for it. I think the best batters in the world have got unbelievable speed of hands. and their batting.
And what do you think it is about the Australian cricket team that when big tournaments roll around so often they just get up? Like going into it, and obviously early on in the World Cup, probably weren't playing our best cricket. A lot of people were writing Australia off, saying they probably won't even make finals 2-3 games in. And then something just happened, hit a switch, and now very likely to go all the way to the final potentially. Obviously, I'm a big believer that it's probably going to be Australia and India, and then to beat India, you're going to have to be really good. But what is it about the Australian cricket team that can just bring it all together when it counts?
Oh, there's some superstars in the team, which helps. But there's a lot of belief in there as well. Like they've all done it before. They know how to win games of cricket. And I generally think Australia will win the World Cup. And I'm not just saying that because I play cricket for Australia, I'm employed by them, but I genuinely think they will, because you look at it, all the big guns haven't really fired. Like the bowlers haven't had a day out yet. I'm waiting for the day that Camo and Starkey and Hazelwood, especially the big three, all click together. And as soon as they click, they'll destroy a team. But then you got Smithy, who hasn't fired. You got Davis and Davey and Trav and Maxi and Marshy all hit unbelievable hundreds. But you wait till the Australian clicks and no one will come close to them.
Especially like you said, like we've always had some superstar freak batters in the team at all times, but our strength really is our bowling lineup. And like you said, the bowlers probably not necessarily haven't been at their best, but they haven't won us a game yet. So very much there's a potential for that arc to come through. Now, seeing young Adam Zampa doing what he's doing, does that make you proud to see an Aussie spinner performing so consistently well?
Yeah, and Zamps has been arguably one of the best white ball bowlers in the world.
I'd say for sure, I'd agree.
For a number of years now, and that's what I mean. Like the four of them with Zamps and the three big quicks, that's what I mean. If they click, they will destroy a team very quickly. And that's what I'm probably really excited about heading into the last game against Bangladesh on Saturday, I think it is, and the following Thursday is the semi-final against South Africa. And I honestly feel like it'll be an India-Australia final, because I feel like South Africa will choke in the semis. They got a history of it. So I'm back in Australia all the way.
I'm with you. Now, speaking of South Africa, being night watchman facing Morne Morkel, does it get much worse than that?
Have you been talking to Mitch?
Oh.
Yeah, no, it doesn't get any much worse than that. He had polite words when I walked out the bat. He was going to come around the wicket and kill me. And at that stage, back in 2014, I didn't know how to bat and didn't know how to face 145k bumpers
straight at your head.
Yeah, around the wicket. So, yeah, it was probably up there as one of the most challenging moments with bat in hand. That's for sure.
What's it like having the night watchman role? Like, it's the last place anyone ever wants to go in a bat. 15, 20 minutes left. Light's not very good. Do you do it because, as you said, like you've probably got one of the best defenses for the bowlers, or do you just do it like, fuck it, I'm going to try and enjoy this as much as I can?
No, I do it because I get asked to do it. My thoughts on night watchmen's. Well, you only do it when the batters get scared. That's what people don't realise. Everyone goes, oh yeah, but these guys are the best batters in the world. Surely they can bat for 10 minutes. They bat for a day and a half sometimes, so they get scared.
Who's the biggest culprit of sending you in before them? Go protect me, Nath.
I've probably done it the most for Smithy, but Marnus likes one now. Who else? I've done it for a fair few, to be honest. I think I've batted from 3 to only position I haven't batted is 1, 2, and 8. I think.
To be fair, Steve Smith, pretty big wicket to protect, but you say Marnus likes one now. Is it something when a young batter comes in, they've got to earn the right for a night watchman before they can call people up, or is it?
No, it's usually the other way around. You senior players, you've got to protect them. So, yeah. But yeah, Marnus and Smithy, they're peas in a pod, aren't they? But they're doing a decent job, and hopefully they do it a few more times as well.
Now, we'll start to wrap up. I want to ask you a couple questions before I get on to the future and what's next for you. Couple last questions I wanted to ask you. One, a pretty special moment, I imagine, not in your career, but just your life in a whole. I think it might have been after your second test. You were having beers with Ricky Ponting, a couple of the other boys, and one of them says, go grab your dad. And you're like, no, he's all good. He doesn't really drink. And then the old man comes down, has about 5-6 beers and
Yeah. Yeah. So I was in Candy, second test. Mum and Dad come over. Their first test, watching me live, and the game headed out to be a draw with weather affected. And anyway, we were sitting at the hotel bar, and I was just sitting there with Hads, and everyone was there. I was sitting with Hads, Hussey, and Ponting, and Brad Haddon just tapped me on the leg and said, "Where's your dad?" I said, "Oh, Dad's up in the room. Go get him." "Oh, no, Dad doesn't drink. Dad might have one beer at Christmas, and that's it for the year," type thing. And he goes, "No, bullshit, go get him." So I went up there, knocked on the door, and I said, "Dad, the boys want you down." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, Ricky Ponting and Brad Haddon have asked for you to come down." So Dad jumped up, probably the quickest I've seen him move, and I said, "Sorry, Mum, you've got to stay here." But then he knocked back about 5-6 Coronas before I even seen it. So it was probably one of the best moments, seeing Dad sit there with those guys and just have a chat.
And what's your relationship like with your dad? Is he like a more stoic, old school country bloke, or has he had a few moments where like you have the quiet moments? He's like, "No, Nath, like I'm really proud of everything you've done."
No, he's old school.
Yeah.
Old school farmer. No doubt there'll be a time where that comes, and we'll have that conversation. But Dad just keeps asking me if I'm enjoying it. Do enjoy it. Good luck.
Now, moving on to the future, as you've said, you've still got many years to come playing the game. How do you set your goals for the next chapter of your career? What's your process like with goal setting, and how important is that for you to go and put that planning and put those goals down before you put the work in and go and action them?
Yeah. I feel like the injury has come at a nice time, if there's going to be, with me being able to be at home and reflect and reset some goals. So I know for me, I know I can play a massive role in the Australian cricket team, and I've always said I wanted to win in India and England, and haven't been able to do that. And we've got a big test series, obviously against Pakistan, West Indies and New Zealand this summer, but then following summer we've got India out here, which is also massive. So, and they've beaten us last 2 times out here. So we really need to ensure that we get that one back. But for me, goal settings is making sure that you go out there and you want to try and achieve what you can do. Like I always try and set my goals quite high. Are they reachable? There's question marks on that, but if I get pretty close to them, I'll be pretty happy. And if I reach them, I'll be very happy. But for me, I'm not going to put a number. I've got a number in my head where I want to get to, but I'll never say it publicly. But yeah, I love the game, and as I said before, when I see the guys play the league and the AFL grand finals and see the adrenaline and see the guys stand up in the big moments, whether it's Cleary or whoever it may be, I just sit at home and had goosebumps. And I said to Em, I said, "No, I'm nowhere close to being done."
And what's it like? Obviously, you've been a mainstay in the team for a long time now, transitioning from being the young up and comer to one of the old experienced Ted. Now you're the one in a leadership role, providing guidance and stability and potentially even advice for the younger guys coming through. Is that something, a role you relish, or do you like to lead more by your actions than your words?
I think there's a bit of both. And I think it's incredibly important that you're able to do both. But yeah, I enjoy it now. When I first come into the team, I had Rick and Ponting, I had Mike Hussey and these guys, but then they both retired in 2012, 2013, so I didn't have a great deal with them. But now I feel like I've got a decent role to do with Todd Murphy, Matt Kuhneman, Mitch Sweps and Tanveer Sanger, these guys who are coming through the Australian setup and spinning around the country, because with Warnie passing away last year, it feels like I've got even more responsibility to fly the flag for Australian spin bowling.
Yeah, massively. And is following in do you have any interest to follow in Warnie's footsteps in terms of off the field, in terms of commentary and presenting?
What are we talking about?
we'll keep it to the media side. Like, obviously you don't have to do that. You're giving us an hour of your time. You don't have to do any of this stuff, but you just seem like you love the game so much and you're so connected to the game. post playing career is do you still want to stay around cricket? Obviously, I've heard the business idea, Nice Gary's Gardens as an option, but is the media anything that you'd want to do down the line?
Yeah, well, I've been doing a little bit of work with Fox at the moment throughout the World Cup, and every opportunity I can get around Australian one-day games, T20 games. I feel like it's something that I enjoy doing because I'm able to, the way I approach is that I can paint a picture in my head and try and tell the world or tell the listener who may not see the game the way I do or new to cricket, and if I can help them understand what the guys are trying to do, what they're trying to achieve, my experiences, my thoughts, and why not. But also I feel like there's hopefully a role for me to, be a spin consultant around Australia, because there's some really good coaches out there, and I'd like to be someone who can go around to and help all spinners, boys and girls, at all different ages. I'd love nothing more than that, because it's something that I've had a personal spin coach in John Davison, but at South Australia I had Darren Berry. He was a head coach, but I feel like New South Wales haven't really had too many, but it's something that there's a big gap there for me, I think.
And did you have a player or a role model that you looked up to when you were coming through the ranks as a youngster?
Oh, Warnie.
Yeah.
Warnie and Adam Gilchrist were the two players for me, and that's where, as I said before, goated. That's where if I had access to Shane Warne at age of 12 to 13, 14, mum and dad, being a country kid, not having much, definitely no money in the family or anything like that, and they would have done anything to give us that opportunity.
Yeah. And with goated, what's the vision? How long, like, I know you've got Teddy coming on board who will hopefully be dropping all of his content and all that access early next year. But what's the vision with goated? How far do you want to take this?
I want to see it go everywhere, to be honest with you. I'm pretty proud about it. I know I'm really proud about it. I'm pretty pumped about it, but I feel like it's for any athlete who actually wants to give back to the game, that's given them everything. And I feel like as an athlete, you need to want to do that. You can't just go, oh yeah, no, I want to do it, but not actually want to do it type thing. So for me, I'm all about giving back, and talking to Kaya and James, they see something very similar, obviously with Kaya with her Indigenous background, but then James is a country kid as well, and he knows the importance and the roles that he plays as role models around, especially around Australia. But yeah, I'd love nothing more to crack it and go worldwide, and the sky's the limit for it.
Look, I personally love the initiative. I think more athletes should be doing things like that. It's an amazing world we live in, that there is the technology that can facilitate that. And if there are more athletes that are keen to come on board, I think it's just going to impact kids around the world in such a positive way. And as we know, if we look at the world compared to when we were growing up, like, we'd get home from school every day. I'd be out on my bikes, riding down to my friend's house, kicking a footy around at the park, playing street cricket. Now, the numbers in grassroots cricket are definitely not what they used to be. I used to play for a team called Liverpool Catholic Club, and there was 2-3 teams in every age group. Now, a couple of years ago, we had to fold the club because there was just no kids playing. So anything that can encourage kids to get out, get active, play sport, particularly the sport we love, cricket, I think is awesome. So something a little bit that might have come a little bit more left field than even goated is Nathan Lyon, the author. Now, what was obviously you've got a couple of kids yourself. What was the inspiration for the Nice Gary children book series?
Yeah. So basically, it was because my two older daughters who spend a lot of time on iPads and computers and all that stuff now, and I wanted to find a way to get them to read books and get them off there and try and do something, but also obviously in the current part of writing an autobiography as well. So that's a new journey, and part of it was to do a couple of kids' books. So I think we're in the process of hopefully doing a kids' book with Braille. So obviously I do a lot of work with the inclusion stuff with Cricket Australia with all the disabilities, so blind, deaf and intellectual. So hopefully doing a vision impaired book, which will be pretty cool, but hopefully the kids can go out there and enjoy reading it, and hopefully there's little key messages in it.
Yeah. Now, 3 last questions and we'll wrap this up, send you on your way. As someone that, as we briefly discussed, you got your trade, you're very passionate about landscaping and groundskeeping and all that sort of stuff. Let's stay outside of Australia. What would be your favourite ground to play on?
We going wicket wise or we going venue?
We'll go wicket wise.
Anywhere in India is good fun.
Especially for a spinner, right?
Yeah, it's a good challenge, but I don't know, it's hard to go past like somewhere like Lords or Cape Town.
And do you have a favourite in Australia?
Adelaide Oval.
Adelaide Oval. I thought that might be the answer. I was hoping it was the SCG, but very disappointed when I heard the news that you're leaving the Sixers. I shouted. I said, "Mitch, tell me this ain't true. Tell me it ain't true." He's like, "Man, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, it's true." I remember Mitch used to be a Sydney Thunder fan, and I said, "Mitch, you can't do this, mate." And then once he started doing like the videographer stuff for them, slowly I was in his ear, converted him, and now you're sadly gone. But seems like Renegades have a pretty good team, some big names, the old boys back together. So good luck for that. Even though I'm a Sixers boy through and through. Now, second last question. Obviously the quality of the chat, as you can imagine, the banter playing park cricket on the weekends is horrendous. Is there anything that stands out as a piece of chat that's just so memorable from your playing career that is repeatable on a podcast? Was there a sledge? Was there a joke? Was there a line that you just thought that's fucking top shelf or that made me laugh?
Oh. So I've got no idea. Played a lot of cricket. No, I got nothing. The one moment that stands out was David Warner playing in would have been about my 9th or 10th test match, and he was playing he would have been playing his 3rd test match. He started sledging Sachin Tendulkar, and I was just like, do you know who this bloke is? Yeah. And David was at point sledging him, so I was just like, that's probably the best moment.
Yeah, do you remember when the first time the Nice Gary came out in a test? Was it Hads?
No,
or was it Wadey?
It was Matt Wade in
Wadey.
Adelaide. Must have been 2016. Adelaide pink ball test, and he just kept saying it, and we didn't think anything of it. But then social media got a hold of it, and suddenly we're trying to do a world record attempt against Pakistan at the MCG. So.
And then you got a wicket that ball as well, right?
Ruined it. I thought all I didn't want to do was get hit for 6, but it wouldn't have been real nice. But anyway.
Another record you have, a random thing. So the only bowler ever to bowl 30,000 balls without a no ball in there.
I've got a few records. To be honest with you.
What do you put that down to? Why do you think spin bowlers should never be bowling no balls? Because a lot of them still do.
I don't know. I'm superstitious, aren't I? So I start off the same foot every time. I've got the same amount of steps that I need to do, and there's no point bowling a no ball if you get a wicket, is there? So just going to try and keep your foot behind it.
We've seen a lot of them the last couple of years, wickets off no balls as well, so that would burn. Now, last question, just do you have any final advice or a message to kids or young people out there that have a dream, whether it be on the sporting field or otherwise, that the odds may seem stacked against them?
Whether it's advice or it's just my opinion, it's never as far away as what you actually think it is. And that's for me. If you go out there, work hard, don't fear failing, and don't be surprised by success, and you'll go a long way. And
I think to that message you just said, your career, like even if you don't want to listen to the words, just look at you as an example, and that's as clear as day. So Nathan Lyon, thank you so much. Again, you're very generous giving us your time. Good luck with the summer ahead. I'll be watching every ball and for that magical 500, and hopefully hundreds more to come after then. So thanks again, mate. I appreciate your time.
No, too easy. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, man. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode or you got something out of it, do yourself a favor, do me a favor, do your friends a favor and share this with them, and they can come along on this journey with us. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.